The tallboy bomb was a game changer, but getting it to work was a masterclass in creative engineering. Think about it. A normal bomb hits a concrete bunker and explodes on the surface. That's just a big firecracker. The whole point of the tallboy was to punch through that concrete first and then go boom. So its inventor, Barnes Wallis, came up with a brilliant delayed action fuse. As the bomb fell, a small propeller on the back would spin, arming the fuse, but the real magic was a timer that only started ticking asterisk after asterisk the bomb hit the ground. This tiny delay, just a fraction of a second, gave the bomb enough time to slice through layers of rock and reinforced concrete. It would detonate at the moment of maximum penetration, deep inside its target, creating an artificial earthquake that could bring down even the most formidable structures. To perfect this, they didn't just guess. They dropped prototype tallboys over and over again into quarries, which they'd layered with thick concrete slabs, just to see how deep they could go. It was a brutal but effective testing process. Now, imagine you're a Lancaster bomber crew. You've just been told you need to carry a 16 bomb. The problem is, it doesn't fit. The tallboy was so massive that the standard bomb bay doors had to be completely removed. Engineers had to design a special streamlined bulge on the belly of the plane just to accommodate its huge diameter. It looked like the Lancaster had swallowed a whale, but fitting it was only half the battle. You also have to lift it. The standard hydraulic system on the Lancaster wasn't nearly strong enough to hoist a 6-ton weapon into place. It was like trying to lift a car with a bicycle pump. So the entire system had to be upgraded for more power. So you've got the bomb and you've got the modified plane. Now comes the hardest part, actually hitting something with it. Dropping a tallboy wasn't a casual affair. The crews had to fly their Lancaster perfectly straight and level, maintaining a precise airspeed. They couldn't waver. The bombardier had to release the bomb at the exact calculated microsecond, and they had to do all of this while flying through a sky filled with bursting flak shells from anti-aircraft guns. The slightest deviation, the slightest bit of turbulence, or a sudden jink to avoid getting shot down, and the bomb would miss by hundreds of yards, making the entire mission a waste of time, fuel, and immense risk. It was a task that demanded a level of skill and nerve that was almost superhuman. This is why the job fell to a very special group, the legendary 617 Squadron. You might know them from the famous Dam Busters raid in 1943, led by Wing Commander Guy Gibson. They were the Royal Air Force's elite precision bombing specialists. After the Dams raid, Gibson left, and command eventually passed to a man named Leonard Cheshire. And Cheshire was about to revolutionize bombing tactics forever. He took over in November 1943 and saw the problem firsthand. High-altitude bombing was just too inaccurate, even for his expert crews. So he developed a radical and frankly terrifying new technique. He would fly his own Lancaster, not at 20,000 feet with the main force, but down low, dangerously low, sometimes diving to less than 300 feet, right into the teeth of the enemy's anti-aircraft defenses. His goal wasn't to drop a bomb, but to place a marker. He would fly directly over the target and drop brightly colored flares, painting a bullseye for the rest of the squadron high above. It was an incredibly brave, almost suicidal maneuver. While he drew all the fire, the high-altitude Lancasters could calmly line up their shot on the glowing markers below. Thanks to Cheshire's low-level marking runs, the accuracy of the tallboy drops became phenomenal. They went from hoping to hit the right city block to consistently hitting specific buildings. This combination of an earthquake bomb and pinpoint accuracy, pioneered by the courage of men like Leonard Cheshire, made 617 Squadron one of the most effective and feared units of the war. They didn't just drop bombs, they performed surgical strikes from 4 miles up. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story of engineering and bravery as fascinating as I did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most incredible machines and missions. See you in the next one. This incredible combination of fearless flying and mathematical precision was what unlocked the Tallboy's true destructive potential. One of the most famous operations that demonstrated this was the attack on the Lorjang Karaman U-boat pens, which took place on June 27, 1944, just 3 weeks after the D-Day landings. By this stage of the war, Allied air superiority over France was almost total. German defences were stretched to their absolute limit, and those U-boat pens, which had previously shrugged off countless conventional bombing raids, were now more critical to the German war effort than ever before. Leading this high-stakes mission was the legendary wing commander Leonard Cheshire, piloting his personal de Havilland Mosquito. This was an agile twin-engine aircraft, perfectly suited for the low-altitude target marking role that Cheshire had pioneered. Following close behind him were 16 Avro Lancasters from his own 617 Squadron, the famous Dambuster. Each of these heavy bombers was carrying a single precious tallboy bomb. The plan for the attack was classic Cheshire. He would fly in fast and low, a hair-raising maneuver to mark the precise aiming point on the U-boat bunker with coloured smoke bombs, high above at an altitude of 6,000 metres. The formation of Lancasters would then drop their tallboys, aiming directly for his smoke markers. As they approached the French coast, Cheshire brought his Mosquito down, skimming over the waves at just 200 metres. He weaved his aircraft back and forth, a technique designed to confuse and evade German radar detection. It wasn't long before the target came into view, Karaman III, the most heavily fortified U-boat bunker in the complex. This structure was a monster, protected by a roof of reinforced concrete nearly 7 metres thick. For years, it had absorbed everything the Allies had thrown at it, seemingly indestructible. Cheshire pushed the nose of his Mosquito down into a shallow dive, his speed climbing past 500 kilometers per hour as German 88mm anti-aircraft guns, or flak, desperately tried to track his lightning-fast approach. He released his payload of red smoke markers. They landed exactly where he intended, right on top of the massive concrete roof. His job was done. Now it was up to the bombers, high above. Flight Lieutenant John Cockshat, flying the lead Lancaster, saw the vibrant red smoke bloom across the distant target. The conditions for the attack were perfect. The June skies were crystal clear, Cheshire's markers were precise and unmissable, and behind him 15 other Lancasters were lining up for their attack runs. Cockshot steadied his aircraft, listening intently to the calm voice of his bomb-aimer in the nose of the plane, who called out minute corrections to their heading. The tension in the cockpit would have been immense. They had one shot at this. At the exact pre-calculated moment, the bomber shouted, "Bombs gone," and the 5.5-ton tall boy was released. The bomb fell for what must have felt like an eternity, 43 long seconds. From the ground, it would have looked like a dark, slender streak, gathering terrifying speed as it plummeted towards the earth. The specially designed offset tail fins caused it to spin, stabilizing its trajectory and making it incredibly accurate. By the time it reached the bunker, it had exceeded 340 meters per second. That's more than 1,200 kilometers per hour faster than the speed of sound. It struck the roof of Karaman III, just 6 meters away from where Cheshire's red smoke was still billowing. For the German engineers and personnel watching from nearby shelters, what happened next seemed to defy the laws of physics. The tall boy didn't explode on impact. It didn't bounce off or shatter into pieces against the thick concrete. Instead, it simply punched straight through the 7 meters of steel-reinforced concrete as if it were nothing more than compacted soil. The entire penetration lasted barely 0.2 of a second. The bomb was a blur of motion, a testament to its incredible kinetic energy. Only after it had buried itself deep within the structure of the roof did its delayed action fuse finally ignite its massive explosive charge. The resulting underground explosion was cataclysmic, ripping the heart out of the bunker from the inside and rendering a large section of it completely unusable. This single mission proved that with the right technology and the right tactics, even the most formidable fortresses could be broken. The era of the bunker buster had truly begun. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this piece of military history, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for more stories like this one. We'll see you in the next video. Imagine a fortress so strong, so impenetrable that it was considered immune to any aerial attack. This was the Karaman III U-boat bunker, a monolithic giant of reinforced concrete designed to protect Nazi Germany's deadly submarine fleet. For years, it stood as a symbol of unyielding strength, shrugging off conventional bombs as if they were pebbles. But on August 5, 1944, that all changed. The Allies unleashed a new kind of weapon, a bomb so powerful it didn't just explode, it created earthquakes. This is the story of how Barnes-Vollis' ingenious tallboy bomb brought the indestructible to its knees. The problem facing the Allies was immense. The Karaman bunker in Lourdes, France, was a marvel of defensive engineering. Its roof was over 7 meters thick, a layered sandwich of steel-reinforced concrete designed to withstand the most powerful bombs of the era. Conventional bombing raids had tried and failed, their payloads bouncing harmlessly off its colossal shell. The U-boats inside remained safe, able to continue their reign of terror in the Atlantic. A new approach was needed, something that didn't just scratch the surface, but could shatter the very foundations of the fortress. Enter Barnes-Vollis, a British aeronautical engineer and a true visionary. Vollis wasn't just thinking about bigger explosions. He was thinking about physics. He understood that a direct hit on such a massive structure was only part of the solution. His revolutionary idea was the earthquake bomb. He theorized that a massive, streamlined, and incredibly heavy bomb dropped from high altitude could achieve supersonic speeds. Instead of exploding on impact, it would plunge deep into the earth or even penetrate thick concrete before detonating. The resulting subterranean explosion would create a seismic shockwave, an artificial earthquake that would shake a structure apart from below, attacking its foundations, its weakest point. This concept gave birth to the Grand Slam and its smaller, but no less formidable, cousin, the Tallboy. The Tallboy was a monster, weighing nearly 12,000 pounds, or about 5,400 kilograms. It was aerodynamically perfect. Its hardened steel nose cone was designed for one thing: penetration. Its payload was 5,200 pounds of Torpex, an explosive 50% more powerful than TNT. To deliver this weapon, a special aircraft was needed. The legendary Avro Lancaster bomber was heavily modified. Its bomb bay doors removed and its airframe strengthened just to carry a single tallboy. Flying one of these missions required incredible skill and bravery from the pilots of the elite 617 Squadron, the famous Dambusters, who were once again tasked with a seemingly impossible mission. The day of the attack arrived. A squadron of Lancasters lumbered into the sky, each carrying a single, devastating payload. Their target, the invulnerable Karaman III. As they approached Lourdes, the flak began to burst around them, but the pilots held their course, steady and determined. They needed to drop their bombs with pinpoint accuracy from high altitude to give the tallboys enough velocity to do their job. One by one, the bombs were released, whistling down towards the earth at nearly the speed of sound. The first direct hit was unlike anything seen before. A 12,000-pound tallboy slammed into the 7-meter-thick concrete roof. But it didn't just explode on the surface. It punched through the outer layers, embedding itself deep within the structure before its timer finally triggered the massive Torpex charge. The result was cataclysmic. The explosion, with its 5,200 pounds of raw power, was trapped inside the concrete. It couldn't vent upwards or sideways. Instead, the force ripped through the bunker as a violent compression wave, travelling at over 5,000 meters per second. This shock wave slammed into the underside of the roof, rebounded, and collided with the ongoing shock waves from the initial blast. This created what physicists call destructive interference patterns. Imagine ripples in a pond crashing into each other, creating chaotic, amplified waves. Now, imagine those waves are made of pure, explosive force, tearing through solid concrete and steel. The structure began to tear itself apart from the inside out. A massive 20-meter wide section of the roof, weighing hundreds of tons, simply collapsed. It came crashing down into the U-boat pen below, instantly crushing 2 Type 7 U-boats and fatally damaging a third. The heart of the fortress had been ripped open. But the destruction didn't stop there. 14 more tall boys followed. Not all of them scored direct hits on the roof. A few landed in the surrounding docks or plunged into the harbour waters. But even these near misses proved the genius of Barnes-Wallace's earthquake bomb theory. These bombs didn't waste their energy on the surface. They burrowed 6 to 8 meters deep into the surrounding soil and concrete before detonating. The ground itself heaved. Subterranean shock waves, powerful and unseen, radiated outwards from the points of detonation. These seismic waves were the real killers of the bunker. They travelled through the earth and slammed into the foundations of Karaman III, the massive foundation walls, once thought to be the bedrock of the structure's strength, began to crack and splinter under the immense vibrating pressure, load-bearing columns. The very bones of the bunker twisted and buckled. The entire structure was destabilized from its base. The fortress was literally being shaken to pieces. Each subsequent tall boy, whether a direct hit or a near miss, compounded the damage, sending fresh waves of seismic energy through the already weakened structure. From the air, the crews of the Lancasters watched in awe. The once mighty bunker, a feature of the landscape that had defied all previous attempts to destroy it, was shrouded in a cloud of smoke and concrete dust. Explosions ripped through its interior, and the ground around it shook with the force of the subterranean detonations. The mission was a complete success. By the time the last Lancaster turned for home, the scene below was one of utter devastation. But Karaman III, the pride of the German submarine service and long considered immune to aerial attack, was shattered. It was broken, cracked, and collapsing, rendered completely beyond use. The destruction of the Karaman bunker was a testament to innovation and courage. It showed that with clever thinking and new technology, no fortress was truly invulnerable. Barnes. Wallace's earthquake bomb had changed the face of warfare, proving that sometimes the most effective way to bring down a giant is not to hammer away at its armor, but to shake its very foundations. The story of the tall boy and the fall of Karaman III remains a powerful example of how scientific ingenuity can overcome even the most formidable of obstacles. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story of engineering and warfare as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into incredible historical events. Let me know in the comments what other indestructible structures you'd like to see us cover next. See you in the next video.